So we've got this problem in the house. Not a problem anymore. I pretty much solved it. Spoiler alert. But as of last week, we had some ants. Okay, everybody gets ants in the kitchen. You leave one little tiny, teeny tiny little crumb out, and now you've got a whole brigade of an army of ants being sent in from the outside to, completely take over your kitchen. I woke up the next morning. I accidentally didn't wipe up the counter from dinner the night before, and you know what I mean? There was a whole gang of ants on the counter. I had to wipe them off, get rid of all them, and then they kept coming. So then Sandy was like, yo, here's the remedy. You just need some cinnamon and you need some vinegar. So we put out a little cup of vinegar, and she said you need to line, the window and the door, everything outside with the cinnamon. And so I'm out there like Salem witch trials, we're blocking off bad omens with the cinnamon, sprinkling it all in front of the front door, the windowsill. I'm outside, just like a madman, sprinkling all the cinnamon from the cabinet around the house. Well, that didn't work. The ants were still coming. And so then I'm like, make sure I get Walmart, wherever she went, Home Depot. She gets the liquid ant traps, okay? These little things, they got some borax and some other poisonous shit in them. You tear off the heads, you let them sit out, and the ants go in and they don't come out. And then that's it. And then that's how you get rid of the ants. Here's the problem. The traps started to work, okay? The ant traps were working. The night that I put them out, it didn't work right away. It took a few hours, but in a few hours when I came back, it was ant central all up in these liquid traps. There were a bunch of dead homies hanging out inside. There were a bunch of scouter homies crawling around on the outside of the thing, trying to figure out what's going on the inside. And so what presumably looked like an ant party in these liquid ant traps that I bought, I was like, great, this is perfect. Eventually they'll all go in, and eventually none will come out. I'll throw this whole trap away, and that'll be the end of the ants. The issue is that was the night before, okay? So the next morning, I wake up, and I don't know, I can't really remember, but there's a solid chance that I had ingested copious amounts of drugs that evening, and 1% chance, might have hallucinated these ants. Because when I woke up the next morning, the liquid traps were empty.
What are we doing?
There were no ants on the outside. There were no ants on the inside. All of the ants were gone. It was almost as if the dead party of ants, there were 30, 40. You could see the ants inside the trap. It's a clear plastic container, and I saw them in there. I saw them marching in a line from the hole in my kitchen all the way to the ant trap to see what was going on. I saw the whole production of the ants in my kitchen the night before, okay? Now, the next morning, all the traps are cleared out. I asked Megs, did you touch my ant traps? Did you replace them? You saw that they were so full with ants, you replaced the traps? She says, no, I don't touch your shit. Why would I touch disgusting ant traps? And so I said, okay, well then one of two things is either now true. Either A, I hallucinated the ants to begin with, and these little ant looking exactly like ant creatures that have been crawling around my kitchen counter for the last week that I have inevitably gotten rid of with the cinnamon and the ant traps, I hallucinated it all? Doubtful. So then that leads me to point number B, and that is of the fact that either A, and there's subpoints here. So now we're still on point B, but it's A under B. So point B, subsection 1, B1 is either A, the ants had a rescue team and they came in and had helper ants break into the traps, pull out the dead ant bodies of their lost homies and take them back to the tribe for a proper burial. Or B, another bug like a spider or something came along, ate all the ants in the middle of the night. Or C, none of the ants were dead to begin with. The traps don't work, and they were just hanging out that night in Club Ant Trap City, having a good time, sipping on the borax syrup, and then boom, they all got tired, drunk, and hungover, went back to the anthill, and that left my empty ant traps.
What are we doing?
Now, I'm leaning towards the theory of that these ants are so civilized and they're smarter than human beings, even though they're only this big. And they have a team of extraction ants that came in, went into the death trap of my liquid ant trap killer, and extracted the dead ant bodies of their homies and took them back to the anthill to send them off in the proper ant way. Now, that's my theory. Megs thinks now I just made the whole thing up, and I'm 99.9% sure I didn't. So if you know anything about ants or ant traps or bugs in general, let me know in the comments down below. Let's ask ChatGPT. Actually, I wasn't going to do this, but now I feel like I need to know. Chat.com. I had an ant problem in my kitchen, okay? And what happened was I put out liquid ant traps. And last night, I saw a whole gang of ants running from the wall to the ant trap. I saw about 30 dead ants already in the trap. The traps were working perfectly. Then this morning, the traps were empty. We didn't do anything with the traps. And so I'm just wondering what happened to all of the ants that I saw that were in the traps that were supposed to kill them. Did they send like an ant extraction team to come get the dead bodies of their ant friends out of the trap? Did another bug come and eat them? I saw them. They were in the trap last night. And when I woke up this morning, all of the ants were gone. What happened?
All right, so here's the likely scenario. The liquid ant traps work by attracting ants with a sweet, lethal bait. The ants carry the bait back to their colony, share it, and it eventually wipes out the whole crew. Those ants you saw in the trap likely weren't dead. They were just loading up on the bait and then heading back home. By morning, they'd taken all the bait and left. So no ant extraction team or mysterious bug cleanup crew, just those industrious little ants doing their thing. Pretty wild, right?
Got it. So they take the bomb back to the anthill, and then within a subset of time, said poisonous bomb goes off, metaphorically speaking, and the whole colony is gone, right? Wow, we wiped out the whole... Okay, got it. All right, well, that sounds like a reasonable explanation. So this entire podcast bit was for... no reason.
What are we doing?
Exactly. Sometimes these mysteries have a pretty straightforward answer. But hey, at least now you know your ant traps are doing their job and the colony is on its way out. Plus, it makes for a quirky podcast story. What are we doing? We're conquering the tiny invaders one bait trap at a time.
That's right. And that's my girl. That's chat. Hey, there's your weekly answer. If you have questions, I cannot tell you, I am this close to getting Megs off of Google and fully into ChatGPT. You need to use it when you have questions like this. Silly me. Now we don't even, should I even keep the whole ant bit in? Now I look like an idiot. I didn't know how they worked. I don't know what's going on. But at the same time, here we are. Thanks to our friends at ChatGPT. You know what I mean?